Why am I interested in programming? Well, programming seems like a good area for me to exercise comparative advantage. It's one of the fields where I contribute the most value. I've always had a very analytic mind. I do well with mathematics, with logic, with anything that requires careful attention to detail. I did consider data science, which is not a bad fit for that analytical character, but ultimately I'm more interested in designing and implementing algorithms. For example, getting a complicated calculation done using a simple recursive algorithm can feel like magic. It's just a lot of fun to have an idea and then make it happen yourself. One of my recent projects was an automated wiki app, and I did that. I created that for my own use just because I didn't like the pre-existing implementations. I had a different idea of how it should work. And besides all that, some of my family members are also working in software and doing a pretty good job. And we're enough alike for me to be pretty confident I'm a good fit for it and that I'll enjoy it. Tell about one of my accomplishments. So, while I was in grad school writing my licentiate thesis on an obscure biblical topic, I completely disagreed with my thesis advisor, Dr. Waldstein. We had many conversations and didn't seem to make any progress. In fact, I chose him as my advisor for that very reason. I had set myself the goal of convincing him of my position on the issue. So in the thesis, I carefully examined the strongest objections and composed responses to them. And I think it was important that I presented the objections as a strong as form as possible to show that I was taking them seriously. I think Dr. Waldstein had never really seen a good answer to his objections. And meanwhile, while I was writing it, he didn't actually read much of what I wrote, even though he was my advisor. And our conversations were never quite as clear as the text that I was writing. So near the end of the academic year, we would hold a seminar on each student's thesis together with the advisors and other professors. In the end, my advisor read my whole thesis the day before the seminar, and when he showed up, he had completely changed his mind. He was completely convinced by what I had written. Yes, and while this isn't a very practical story, it certainly felt like an accomplishment. What's my biggest weakness? I'm an introvert, and while that can be an asset in some ways, it is also probably my biggest weakness in other ways. Talking to people too much can really wear me out. It's not that I'm an unfriendly person. In fact, it's very much the opposite, and I think most people who know me would agree that I'm pretty friendly. But sometimes I don't read people well, and they can have a similar problem with me. And I think most people know me, like me personally, but they tend to worry about the impression I will make on others, which can make them hesitate about putting me in contact with other people. That can be a drawback, and mostly I just aim to work impressively enough to outweigh that concern. But sometimes people also just learn from experience that it is not really a big deal. Say, for example, when I was working with Honeymoon Brands, I think my employer probably had similar concerns, but I ended up anyway being responsible for nearly all of our communication with distributors, suppliers, and a co-producer, if only because there wasn't anyone else available. I got along fine with pretty much everyone, and in fact, many people preferred talking to me rather than talking to others in the company. So my employer, who was David Young, pretty much figured out from experience that it's not really a big deal. It's just a worry that people can have sometimes.